The research that I have conducted is entitled Trends, Issues, and Challenges in Science Curriculum Stretching Practices. For the introduction, in August 2017, Secretary of Education Leonor Magtolus Briones signed the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers, or the PPST, into policy through DepEd Order number 42, series of 2017. So it states that shall be used as a basis for all learning and development programs for teachers. So this shows that teachers are key players in the teaching and learning process. That is why the government is really exerting great efforts in elevating their performance for the betterment of the students as well. Teachers are one of the most important factors, especially in science education. So in view of this, everything that the teacher do in the classroom affects the teaching and learning process. This include decision on the content to be included, the materials to be used, and even the various tests to assess student performance. In other words, teachers may alter, change, modify, or realign anything he or she wants in the teaching learning process, as long as the goal is in line with the mission and vision of the department. Therefore, teachers stretch the curriculum. So when we say curriculum stretching, it refers to moving from a static point to an active one. It means that you are moving away or going beyond point at which you are standing, or going out of our comfort zone. By this, teachers should be well equipped in terms of this matter of the curriculum, since this is the most essential undertaking in curriculum implementation and management that centers on different activities such as localization, revision, improvisation, contextualization, addition, elimination, for the purpose of improving instruction and learning. All of these things are being done by teachers in order to deliver quality education to students, especially nowadays during the time of the pandemic. So the main objective of my study is to develop an instructional framework on how teachers can be able to stretch the curriculum, or in other words, be able to adjust. Specifically, it answers the following questions. Number one, what science curriculum stretching practices can be explored from teachers in terms of the content, instructional delivery, instructional materials, and assessment? Number two, what trends, issues, and challenges can be investigated in stretching the curriculum, and what instructional framework utilizing curriculum stretching can be developed based on the results of the study? So for the research methodology, I will be discussing the following. For the locale of the study was conducted in 5 public secondary schools in Candelaria, Quezon. So we have School A up to School E. The research design, the research utilized the qualitative type of research, specifically the phenomenological research that use interview guides to explore the science curriculum stretching practice of teachers. And then focus group discussion was also done in investigating the trends, issues, and challenges in stretching the curriculum. This was done in order to explicate the meaning, structure, and essence of the lived experiences of a person or a group of people around a certain phenomenon. Sampling of the study. Purposive sampling was used to determine the number of participants in the study. The standard used in choosing participants and sites is whether they are information rich. The maximal variation sampling was employed since sample cases differ on some characteristics or traits. The site were the 5 public national high schools in Candelaria, Quezon, with 41 secondary school science teachers to it. We have School A, we have 8, School B 7, School C 8, School D 5, School E 13, and categorized as small, medium, large, and mega large schools. Thus, the number of participants were taken by percentage to it. We have 2 from School A, 4 from School B, 2 from School C, 2 from School D, and 2 from School E. For the FGD, 10 participants were brought together in a room to engage in a guided discussion topic. Case respondents for the FGD included 2 from School A, 3 from School B, 2 from School C, 2 from School D, and 1 from School E. The data collection process. The researcher utilized qualitative data gathering procedures wherein the use of in-depth interviews and focus group discussions were employed. Structured in-depth interviews was utilized wherein set of interview questions were formulated beforehand to serve as guides for the researcher during the actual interview. For the focus group discussion, this was conducted to investigate the trends, issues, and challenges in curriculum stretching practices. Open-ended questions were formulated beforehand to serve as guide for the researcher during the group discussion. Data gathering procedure of the study is subdivided into 2 phases based on the objectives of the study. Since it is purely qualitative in nature, the researcher utilized interview guides for in-depth and focus group discussions during the conduct of the study. First phase utilized in the interviews as one of data gathering tools towards the exploration of science curriculum stretching practices of teachers, as well as the trends, issues, and challenges of curriculum stretching. The interviews were audio taped with respect to the guidelines of interview protocol that was discussed to the respondents before audio recording. The phase 2 employed the FGD wherein structured questionnaires were utilized. This was done in order to obtain in-depth information, qualitative data insight from a group of people about a certain topic. The purpose of the FGD is to investigate and collect information about people's opinions, beliefs, attitudes, perceptions on the trends, issues, and challenges in science curriculum stretching. In Vivo version 12 was utilized in analyzing data combined with manual coding and teaming. Methods of validation. For the phase 1 of the study, the researcher allowed the research advisor and 2 experts to validate the questions for the in-depth interview. Revisions were done based on the suggestion of their advisor and the experts. The final copy was prepared after, wherein it was employed to 12 science teachers. The briefing session was done afterwards, where the interviewee gave feedback about the interview. For the phase 2, the researcher allowed the research advisor and 2 experts to validate the questions for the FGD. Revisions was done after, then the final copy was prepared. Ethical considerations was also ensured. So to ensure the rights of participants of the study, several ethical considerations were employed by the researcher. To wit, we have anonymity, confidentiality, informed consent, and voluntary participation were considered. For the results, so the researcher deduced 7 themes from the answers of the respondents or the participants. So for figure 2, streamlining curriculum adjustment has been deduced as the central theme to illustrate instructional redirection as to adjusting the curriculum and adapting to the learner's needs, instructional change shown through facilitating teaching, as well as modifying instructional delivery and instructional continuity realized by means of providing the contingency and looking for alternatives. For figure 3, the next theme, entitled Unearthing Condescending Views on Current Curriculum Contents, it views on current curriculum contents revealed dogmatism on the curriculum shown by being used in the old curricular contents and seeing the curriculum ambitious, mismatch with curriculum elements in terms of the materials with contents, activities with competencies, and contents with students' levels. Congested curriculum contents as there are too many prerequisites and the necessity for less review. Lastly, the glitches on curricular design characterized by loss of essential basic topics, potential problems of spiral progression, and inadequate time to cover the topics. Then we have figure 4 showing theme 3, fostering eclectic approaches to instructional delivery are categorized into strategy-based, such as hands-on, minds-on, discovery, constructivism, inductive, and deductive approaches, context-based, amplified by daily basis examples, differentiated instruction and variation depending on the topic, resource-based as characterized by multimedia-supported instruction and instructional adjustment, mode-based which might be in grouping or independent learning, and hybrid featured by combination and multidisciplinary approach. Figure
Dr. Dennis.
14.4.
Hello, Dr.
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
You have, I am going to extend you 1 minute more because we are running out of time. Thank you. You can wrap up to the most important slide you have there.
Okay,
thank you,
demonstrating
sir.
flexibility instructional materials. I have here the figure. And then figure 6, theme number 6, gearing towards holistic assessment. We have also figure 7, the theme number 6, dovetailing the trends and the learning realities. And we have also figure 8, surmounting the new curriculum issues and challenges. And the most important part here is the output. So out of the result of the study, the researcher had developed an instructional framework utilizing curriculum stretching practices, which is called the I4Os. For conclusion, curriculum stretching addresses the contrasting perspective on K-12 curriculum contents, the use of diverse instructional approaches and materials in teaching and learning, and to complete assessment typologies. The trends, issues, challenges of the curriculum stretching center on the needs of the present times, the curriculum clock itself, limited resources, and teachers training. Instructional framework is ready for pilot testing in the participant school. For recommendation, curriculum stretching may be extensively introduced in the schools in line with the K-12 curriculum implementation, especially in this time of the pandemic. Additional training, seminars, and workshops on curriculum stretching may be further given to teachers in order for them to optimally apply them in science classrooms. Future studies may be endeavored subjecting other schools, districts, and divisions, and with different sectors of participants such as school heads and learners. The developed framework may be adopted by the participant schools for them to facilitate adjustment in the science curriculum. And number 5, the developed instructional framework may be further subjected to validation and test for effectiveness using experimental research, since this research is purely qualitative. These are my references. Thank you very much for listening.